Hello, hello again, traders. It's about 25 minutes since I exited my long trade here and reversed and went short. And as I talked about in my last video, the reason being is because this was looking so weak coming up here that I remember I got, while I was in bed last night, I got a 9.5 point trade. Went long right down here early this morning before 5 o'clock. And then this one started looking weak, like I was talking about in my last trade. So I got out, took the 8.5 points, and pretty much immediately reversed because it was just looking too weak. And I thought that my reinterpretation, I guess you could call it, my reread of what this correction is doing. Remember the other day, if you saw one of the other videos on my trade number 7, I think, I talked about the fact that there's so much detail in a 15 and 12 or 10 minute chart compared to the 4-hour chart that you see a lot more detail. Well, you do. And so on the 4-hour chart or the 1-hour chart, I was thinking that was the A, that was the B, that was the C. But the way this is looking now and the way it's starting to head down, as I said just a few minutes ago in the other video, this is a 3-wave A, 3-wave B, and more than likely a 5-wave C. Not to get too in the weeds with Elliott Wave, but when you look at ABC corrections, a lot of times they can be a 3-3-5 or a 5-3-5, and that just is talking about how many number of waves in the A wave, B wave, and C wave. Don't flip out over that. Don't get too confused, because once you start to understand Elliott Wave, you can go one of two directions. I could have very easily, because I'm an OCD person, fallen into what most Elliott Wave technicians do. They don't make money with the markets, I don't think. I haven't heard of many that do make consistent money with the markets because they are so obsessed with being right. And they are so obsessed with getting the count correct that they can't see the forest for the trees. And that's why I call what I do Organic Elliott Wave. The market is not mechanical, it's organic. It almost never follows the exact rules or structure of Elliott Wave, but it follows the outline of it. And you can learn enough about Elliott Wave where if you learn to be flexible, you can deal with it. And that's what I mean by being flexible. Because remember, I thought, okay, that's ABC, and now we're heading up. But after it did this 1, 2, 3, it started turning back down. And I'm saying this is not looking like a wave 1 of the new trend, ABC, and then wave 1 going on. It's not looking like it. So I just have to keep myself flexible and say, well, so what's it doing? And that's why I exited, took 8.5 points because it was looking so weak. And now as soon as this drops below this, probably wave 1, 2, and then heading down to 3 on the C wave, as soon as this drops below, I have absolute confirmation that I was reading it wrong the first time. I didn't stretch out the ABC enough, because I'm looking at so much detail on the 15 or 12 or 10 minute chart as compared to what's going on the 4-hour chart. And this 4-hour chart, 3, 4, 5, A, B, and then down to C. In fact, if you have to, you can always just spread your candles out and see it. 3, 4, 5, and then A, B, down to C. And that's what I think it's doing. And as soon as this drops below that, that's pretty much confirmation that that's exactly what it's doing. So if there's a way to learn Elliott Wave to where you do not stick yourself in a box, where you are not flexible, where you are flexible, because most of the Elliott Wave technicians that I've read or listened to, I think they tend to get too obsessed with numbering things. And the numbering of the waves is not as important as the shape, and being flexible and realizing that it's a broad outline and you can trade it if you learn to be flexible and let your brain think alternatives. Every time I see a pattern on Elliott Wave forming, one of the immediate questions I ask is, what's the alternative explanation? Because I can be looking at it myopically and not see the bigger picture, and that's why it helps me to always be looking at longer time frames, medium time frames, short time frames. So I'll just leave it at that. It's Friday, 10:15 now, my time, and market closes at 2 my time, 2:15 I think. So I'm going to let this run, and we'll probably get, hopefully, a good bunch of points out of this. Friday tends to slow down. It may not go much farther than this, or sometimes it tends to drop pretty good, or raise pretty good, or go up pretty good. So sometimes there's a movement on Fridays, as most of you traders know, and sometimes there isn't. We're going to let it run, and one thing I won't do is hold a position over the weekend. I don't mind trading overnight, but I'm not going to hold one over the weekend. Too many things can change. So I will get back to you at the end of this trade. If it heads down to the C wave, like I think it's doing, then I'm thinking this is the wave 1, wave 2, and working down to wave 3 of the C. So I'll get back to you at the end of this, whether I get stopped out or whether it gets towards the end of the day, and I'm closing it anyway. Hello, traders. I just wanted to come back in. It's been a few minutes since I last talked. And like I said, I just got stopped out 7 points. And as I was saying a few minutes ago, if price goes below this point here, what I think is a wave 1, then I'll be very confident that I've got this ABC correct. So what the market did right now is just did a quick push up and took me out minus 7 points, which is fine. That's the risk I took. And in fact, I consider it an aggressive trade because I didn't have this price confirmation. It just was really weak and slow and wasn't being impulsive, and that's why I took it, as I talked about in the last trade. So that's all right. I'm going to watch this for a few minutes and see if I called this right, that this is the A, this is a B, and it's going down to C. Takes this out and keeps going, then my ABC here was correct, and this is actually just a wave 1, a wave 2, and then it's working up to wave 3. In fact, it looks like kind of what it's doing, but we'll see. So that was a minus 7, and I'll write that down, and plus you can see that on the collective 2, my account. I'll show you that here in one of these videos. I'll just go to the website and show you how it records my trades, so you know you can confirm everything. But that's an impulsive wave that I was looking for, that I thought wasn't coming, and so I went short. And we have, what is it, 10:30, 10:36. So we still got 2.5, 3 hours to go. So it's looking like my ABC here was probably correct. Probably this and this and this was probably correct. And now we've got a 1, 2, and now it's working its way up to 3. So we'll watch this for a minute and see what it does. So here's the 4 hours. That's the 2 hour. Boom, 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 but up. Yeah. H4. Keep an eye on this and see if it can get above that point. Because many times the market will just go close to a turning point, not hit it, and then keep going the other direction. So that happens. You got to be ready for it. And I will pause the video for a few minutes and see what this is doing.